Statistically, the highest density of lethal threats exists behind locked front doors. The physical proximity inherent in a shared household often serves as the primary risk factor for individual safety. In the village of Bankarpur Basela in Mathura, the family dynamic followed a traditional, predictable rhythm. The men, Anwar Ali and his son Amir, worked as drivers in Noida to provide for the household. While they were away, Amir's wife Hina lived a seemingly quiet life under the supervision of her mother-in-law, Anwari. Contrasting this is the urban landscape of Surat, where Pooja and Sarfaraz moved from Bihar to build an independent life. They were young and modern, both navigating the high-pressure environment of the city's catering and labor industries. While these two settings differ in geography and tradition, they both culminated in domestic homicide. Analyzing these cases side by side reveals how the specific nature of a motive, whether it is cold self-preservation or a hot paranoid delusion, dictates exactly how a murder is executed. In both instances, the public image of a stable household masked internal pressures that eventually overrode the outward appearance of peace. Because Amir worked hours away in Noida, Hina was left in a social vacuum. This isolation allowed a hidden relationship with Adil to develop. For 2 years, their affair went undetected because Adil's presence in the home was considered a normal part of family life. The arrangement collapsed on a night in March during Ramadan. Anwari woke up, heard suspicious sounds from Hina's room, and discovered the pair together. Anwari's threat to expose the affair meant total social ruin. To prevent this, Hina and Adil made an immediate, tactical decision. While Hina held her mother-in-law down, Adil used a pillow to smother her, ending her life in minutes to secure their secret. The killers immediately transitioned into a cover-up. Hina called her husband, claiming Anwari had suffered a sudden heart attack. The family and the village accepted the explanation, and Anwari was buried the following day according to tradition, without any medical intervention or autopsy. The secret held until a petty argument days later. Hina, seemingly emboldened by the success of her deception, threatened her visiting sister-in-law by telling her she would end up just like her mother. That threat triggered an exhumation. Investigators looked for the physiological evidence of the heart attack Hina described, clogged arteries or tissue damage. But the autopsy found no cardiac irregularities. Instead, medical evidence showed clear signs of ligature compression and trachea trauma. Anwari had been asphyxiated. This was a murder executed with cold-blooded efficiency and a nearly perfect cover-up. The physical evidence was buried and likely would have stayed there if the perpetrator's own overconfidence hadn't reopened the case. The case in Surat followed a different trajectory. Pooja's work as a caterer led to a friendship with a local colleague named Naresh. While the relationship was platonic, it became the focal point for her husband Sarfaraz's growing insecurity. This insecurity evolved into a persistent paranoia. Sarfaraz began monitoring Pooja's calls and restricting her movements, replacing their previous partnership with a dynamic of psychological control. On March 17th, a morning argument escalated until Pooja fled the apartment to escape her husband's escalating anger. Seeking a place she considered safe, Pooja went to Naresh's home. For Sarfaraz, this act provided a false confirmation for his paranoid delusions. In his mind, her flight wasn't for safety, but a confirmation of the infidelity he had imagined. Sarfaraz followed her with a knife. In a state of impulsive rage, he attacked Pooja in broad daylight in front of witnesses. There was no attempt to hide the act or stage the scene. The aftermath was as chaotic as the crime. Police found Sarfaraz at the scene with the weapon, offering no alibi. Unlike the weeks of deception in Mathura, this case was resolved by an on-the-spot arrest. Comparing these two deaths reveals the dual nature of domestic danger. The Mathura case was a murder committed in the dark to hide a physical reality, while the Surat case was committed in the light to prove a psychological delusion. Both Hina and Sarfaraz are now serving prison sentences, their respective paths through the legal system concluded by their own confessions and the forensic evidence.
These murders left two distinct wakes of destruction. One family destroyed by an actual betrayal and its lethal cover-up, and another family effectively erased by a perceived threat that never actually existed. Forensic analysis shows that domestic violence of this scale is often the end result of a long-term erosion of trust. Whether driven by the need to hide a secret or the inability to see past a delusion, the breakdown of honest communication is the consistent precursor. Ultimately, the safety of these households was dictated by what happened in the silence of their four walls, a physical betrayal in one and a manufactured one in the other.